Hey Honest community, before we dive into this episode, we've got a quick free favour to ask. If you enjoyed the Honest Property podcast, please hit like, follow and subscribe wherever you're listening from. It helps us grow, reach more people and bring on guests that you want to hear from. Thanks for being a part of this. We appreciate you more than you know.
Hello and welcome to the Honest Property Podcast with your hosts Becky and Ruth, the Honest Property Sisters. We built a multi-million-pound property portfolio over the last 12 years, and on this podcast we love having unfiltered chats about building wealth, purpose and freedom that actually feels good. And on this particular episode, the topic of today is, are minimalist entrepreneurs doing a smart strategy or do they have a fear of growth? Are minimalist entrepreneurs living in true freedom by keeping their business lean? Or are they just hiding from the risk and responsibility of scaling? So Ruth and I have a lot to say about this topic because the argument for we've been on both. I feel like we've been on both ends of this. And we are in the process of minimizing
Minimalist.
our business right now, and that's because you go through seasons. I think we've mentioned this before, but there's like obviously your spring, summer, autumn, winter seasons of your business, and when you're at the beginning, all you want to do is like acquire, scale, you're energetic, and then that's the stage where you just you try and like do everything, and have like try every opportunity, and that's natural and totally fine and normal to do. But it also means you end up probably taking on or doing more projects than you can keep
More
up
liabilities.
with sustainably. Yeah.
More liabilities, more people, like the list can go on.
Yeah. And then as you go through the seasons, it's a case of consolidating, refining, systemizing, cleaning out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Refining the things that don't serve you, don't make you happy, or don't feel in alignment with the way that you want to live your life.
Or costing you.
And we are going to have a really balanced approach about this as a topic. And the arguments for minimalism, we are really seeing the benefits of it now. I think your 20s as well, like your life goes through these phases too. And obviously there's no rules with this when it comes to age, but generally in your 20s, that's when you have a lot more energy and you can take those risks and you can build and you can try lots of different things and you can acquire because you've got the time and energy to do all that. But at this phase now that we are in our 30s and like our idea of freedom is time, location, financial freedom, it means that we have to consolidate what we built. So if your with minimalism, if your focus is on those freedoms, then you just don't have room or want or desire to do endless scaling.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing for us to prove. There's nothing for us to have to do because we put in a lot of that work at the beginning already. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think like you said, there are seasons and we're in our, what would you say, is it autumn, winter season, where we are pruning everything. And whilst we started with property, like now is about scaling, consolidating with our business, with our assets, and going, okay, what is the next move to make sure we keep everything diverse, but at a very, very clear, like there is so much thought put into every detail. It's not made out of a whim. Every thought has been put into where is your focus. This is what minimalism forces you into, which is where is your absolute focus going to be? What, if you are going to prune, where is that going in the business to give you your time back? Because we're all about having the time back. Where is it going to give you Oh my God, my nails are awful. Look at this. But it's so beautiful. Maybe don't
Okay.
hold them up to the camera so much. Need to do my nails. Where are you going to be? Because ours is all about focus and freedom. And if none of that, everything that we do doesn't fit into making sure that that meets our long-term goal and our now-term goal, that's probably not the right words, then it's just noise. It's just taking away from the other goals that we've set out for our life, our business, and the way that we want to invest. So I think it's important. It is important to lower your overheads when it comes to the longevity of your business, because when you're less stressed because you have all these overheads, you have more room to be creative and have a lot and feel more inspired because you don't have all of this to think about in your brain.
I think when we started, for example, we started our pet care business a long time ago, and it grew. It was a very much a passion business, and it grew over time. And we ended up, it got to a point, it kept growing, it kept scaling, to a point where we ended up needing to hire staff. And then we were, frankly, losing the love of what we did, because it was being outdoors in nature was the thing that, and out with the dogs was the thing that brought us joy. But the point, we were like, okay, how do we like
I can
scale
also
this?
say that what happened is also when you then get to a point where you scaled, and the next thing is to be the one that doesn't do anything at the top, because you've now got staff doing all of the work. You then, we loved it because we realized it's because we like the lifestyle business. But what we learned when it comes to business is that you've got to scale to the point where you delegate so much that you don't even lift a finger. Well, you do the operations and you tell people what to do. It made us lose our passion for the business, because it got to the point where, oh, well, if you're not doing any of the bit that you start off with why you loved it, because they say, oh, you should be at the top directing, then it was no longer in alignment for us, because we really enjoyed the outdoors. But now we've given that job to people doing that we ended up just being admin, just doing all the admin and telling, and organizing or dealing with with our clients on behalf of our staff. And that's not fun, constantly just being behind a laptop. We didn't sign up to be just behind the laptop and not being outdoors, which was the reason why we got into it in the first place. So I think there's also having awareness of, for us, that lost our creativity because we weren't able to, or for the reason why we actually wanted to run this business was because we wanted to hang out with our pets as well. So we started a business to hang out with the pets. But I think there is also having self-awareness of, if just because someone says that you need to be at the top directing, is that actually what you want? Is it really what you want? Or is there a way to have some level of also being on the ground when it comes to your business as well?
Well, it
Because you can
depends
be
what you
so
like, what
yeah.
you want your life to look like. Is that what you envisioned for yourself, or did you accidentally scale because you felt the pressure to, or the demand? Just because the demand's there doesn't mean you have to. Um, because maybe your perfect day to day is, in our case, walking in nature outside with several dogs, or not managing lots of people, or and just doing admin and being locked inside. The only reason we sold that business is because we started valuing location freedom more, which was making it difficult to run that business. But we still have a passion for it. And if we didn't have a desire to come to Asia, I'd probably still have it. Yeah, best thing we ever did. But I think there's a real pressure to scale when you don't need to. Yeah, and it depends where you are in your life. Like, are you time rich? Then maybe you can scale. Um, but if are you time rich, then maybe you can build. Like, is that what you wanted to do with your time, even if you are time rich? Nah,
Yeah.
just because you're time rich doesn't mean you have to fill it with stuff. Um, like you can just have a slower life. Like just because there's a free block in your calendar doesn't mean you have to go shoving things in it for the sake of it. Um,
Isn't that
also,
whole
yeah,
thing about like, do you want to be what was it that Elon Musk said? Like people aspire to be like him or scale like him or have like these innovative ideas, but he goes, you wouldn't actually want to be me because I had to sacrifice a lot of there was a massive trade-off with like everything else in life to be that successful person. And it's knowing that you want to be like Elon Musk, knowing that you're going to have huge trade-offs when it comes to your family, your health, um, just for the sake of success or what success like, like is that actually what you really, really want? And that's why it's so important to know what your goals are.
mm, the arguments against minimalism, is that, and I felt this, that staying small can be disguised as fear of failure. Like, if you can, and in this day and age, we've got all the tools, all the AI, all the systems and things on the internet that can help you scale. Virtual assistants, like, there's so much that can help you do things that help you scale and give you time back. I think it's just like I just feel like it's a never ending circle of like, okay, I'm gonna grow, systemize this, get more time, grow, systemize that, get more time, and then it's just a never ending circle of just growing because you've made more time, and then you've made all these cogs in your machine, and then one part of the cog that you think you've got all figured out breaks down, and it impacts all the rest of the cogs. Like that's the risk.
It reminds me of that meme, which is, uh, so it made me laugh when it's like the different levels of rich. It's like you mow your own lawn and you pay someone else to mow your own lawn and then you mow your own lawn.
Yeah, it's true. It's like you even the walking the dog thing.
Hey, so you want to walk your dog? Like, oh, like, you couldn't walk the dogs anymore because we canceled. And then we go, oh,
What
I
was the
actually
point
want
of
to give.
this? Yeah, that is so true. But yeah, sometimes, yeah. The thing is, yeah, I think there's also you feel like an obligation to um make sure you've got a good impact on the world. You want to be that person. Okay, I've got this successful business. I want to create jobs for people. I want to give other people opportunities. I'm not making when you make less wealth, when you feel like you can do more, there's less to be circulated, and that's like like something that can sit on your conscience. What were you
Well,
gonna say?
you could also say that as well. Like, if you didn't want to scale to that point, you wanted, and then maybe you did create fewer jobs, you made sure that there was a part of your business that you did put money into someone else's business that does create the jobs. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be yourself.
Yeah. Like it doesn't that's
If
where
you then
investing comes
never
in.
look, yeah, exactly. Investing comes and invest into other people's
Someone
businesses
else.
that help create the jobs. That's like the circle of life. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, you can also accept that you can give so much where you don't have to also build this like huge business where you have like 100 employees.
Yeah. Like, is that your
Versus
ego
someone
as
else's
well? A
business.
little bit? Swings and roundabouts. Like, I think you give to your immediate circle and then you donate to, like, it's a huge, an important and more, it should be a more normalized thing when it comes to um, being entrepreneurs. But if, like, only to your the capacity that you're happy to do.
Hey guys, if you're new to property investing, we know exactly how hard it is to figure out where to start. That's why we created the Beginner's Roadmap. It's your guide to mastering the fundamentals so that you can move forward with clarity and confidence. Just hit the link in the show notes. Now, let's jump back into this episode.
Yeah,
with
I
the
would
energy
also
that you
like
have.
put into this argument that maybe we also feel this way because we're still in our 30s, and this might completely change when we're like 50, where we might want to be those people that actually build those, actually have 100 employees. But right now, this season of our life is minimalism.
Yeah, I just think life just throws you so many random things, like, like, the reality is it does, and usually those other things are more important, and you need to always have, how we say always have, like, 30% contingency, like, whether it's with your financial planning or, like, referral costs or whatever, when you're valuing and stacking the numbers for your properties. It's the same with everything. It's the same with the amount of time in a day, how long it'll take you to do something, how much funds you got to do whatever it is, because random stuff's gonna happen. It still applies. So just because you can fill your day doesn't mean you should. Um, yeah, sometimes minimalism is, I know, trying to be against minimalism, struggling here a little bit, just because we are in the season that we are. But sometimes minimalism is, I'm just relating to these feelings about the points that you've made about this. Sometimes minimalism feels like your comfort zone, but that's not always the best strategy.
Hmm.
Um,
So some lifestyle entrepreneurs plateau and burn out anyway because there's no structure for growth. What would you think about that?
well, they say
I
if
feel like
something
no,
doesn't grow, then it dies.
yeah, the only constant is change.
The only
But
constant
change
is
doesn't
change.
necessarily mean scale. It just
Yeah.
means it could mean pivot, still keeping costs down, not scaling, just pivoting.
Could be reducing costs.
Yeah,
Sometimes growth is actually taking things away,
I agree with that.
and maybe the growth is really in your peace of mind. Ooh. Yeah, but I think for our aligned wealth stance, having been on I both sides of this coin, I'm very happily in the minimalism side right now.
Yeah, and
Is
this could last years. So we
yeah,
don't know. Come back,
in 10 years and see what we think then. We might have rebounded and be really enjoying it then. There's also nothing wrong with that if you've got the capacity for it.
I think it's quite
Um,
common though for women who are in business when they reach, I think when they're past their um maternal stage to go. And what I read, I can find the source, which I can put in the show notes. But I read in an article about like women, especially in business, actually do scale a lot when they're in their 40s because they've kind of gone past the family part.
that makes sense because it's like
Yeah,
so many life stages like so many big events are happening in your 30s, and I ultimately feel like additional jobs,
but it holds
like
up the
where's
woman
the
more
room?
than the man if you're like in a unit like that, in a traditional unit. That women then like go full force into their 40s. It's quite common, especially women who are entrepreneurs. So yeah, we could change. Who knows?
Who knows? That's the excitement of life. But at this point, love thriving in this minimalism phase right now. And it also just happens to be like winter, literally in like the winter season. I know we're in Southeast Asia, so it's not really, but like the world is just winding down a little bit. And we're just embracing it right now because Ruth is in motherhood stage and needs to be present for the school holidays. So it's not like, yeah, you can fill that up with scaling. If you're in a position, obviously we've built this up during our 20s to be able to be in this position now. Your minimalism is powerful if it's built intentionally. This is what we
Mm.
believe, and
It
you're not
also
doing it based
allows
out
you.
of fear.
I was gonna say as well that by being able to really um being a minimalist entrepreneur really helps you to have gratitude with what you've already built when you were scaling. And that's something I think that there have been moments where I can personally say that I forgot to have gratitude of what we had already built because you're so focused on the scaling. And I think now stripping back has really helped to go really clearly where are we going when after this minimalist phase.
Do you know what I did? I did a meditation this morning, and it was about being reflective. Sometimes you just got to remind yourself to look back at what you've actually achieved, and is what you're doing actually where you want to go? Are the things you do in your day to day what you want to be doing in 5 years' time?
Because social media likes to paint only the scaling part. Only the scaling part is pushed because it's aspiring. But I think we should turn the narrative. It's the loudest, exactly. And we should actually turn the narrative to actually success is also in the pruning stage. And that needs to be a bigger voice too. Because without that, without reflection, without intention in why you're not at a scaling stage can make you feel like a failure. But you need to have the reflective part to be able to progress.
Yeah. To be fair,
Well,
I see the extremes. I on social media I tend to see I'm growing this and I'm scaling really hard and really fast. Hustle, grind, and then there'll be the other flip of the coin. It's like I got rid of everything.
yeah.
I've quit.
Or I've sold half. I sold half of my thing and I put it somewhere else.
Yeah, like there's no real. I feel like that's a bit more of
I
a
feel like
middle ground.
that's a
Yeah,
balance.
but I don't
Needs
hear that
um,
that much.
Before we continue, here's a quick thought. Ever feel like there's just never enough time to focus on what really matters in your business? You don't have to do it all alone. As they say, a great team makes everything easier. That's why we've partnered with the Freedom Geek. Their talented Filipino VAs help us with tasks like admin and podcast editing, just like for this episode, giving us the freedom to focus on what really moves the needle. If you're looking to reclaim your time and to work smarter, then check out the Freedom Geek. All the details are in the show notes. Now let's get back to our conversation.
No. Especially in the property world, I wish that was said more because we have had these conversations behind closed doors, but no one has talked about it on the actual social media page about what they've pruned in their portfolio, whether it's in property or anywhere in the other asset classes. That conversation needs to be had more because that's only happening behind closed doors.
Yeah, it's like how are you balancing things out? I actually felt a little bit embarrassed, or not embarrassed, just like maybe embarrassed is the word when we decided to sell a property. Well, it was a strategic sell because we reached a point where we realized this property isn't serving us, and actually selling that and getting refining our portfolio to be a bit smaller but more powerful would serve us better and make us more money just by selling that to serve.
And that's then being true to ourselves instead of following some vanity metric.
Yeah. But yeah, those discussions I talked about. So I guess this conversation is just opening that up more. Are you in a phase where you're trying to minimalize your life? How are you doing that? What are you getting rid of? Or are you in your growth stage? And how do you feel now? Let us know in the comment, or DM us. We'd love to hear.
Follow us on Honest Property Sisters or on Honest Property Pod on Instagram. But like and subscribe as well because that helps us reach more people that we can have these honest conversations
with. Yeah. But yeah, for growth's sake, you think is toxic. But hiding from growth is also misaligned. True aligned wealth is actually designing a business that matches your life vision, whether that is small and lean or scaled with structure. We really like small but impact, like effective. Like I would say the rent to rent model, like you'd have to scale that with structure.
Yeah.
A lot of structure to be on top of that.
In there.
Yeah, within that, dig through our previous episodes. We have a lot. We've probably talked about rent to rent and how that sparked Honest Property Sisters last year or a year and a half ago. And the key question for you, listeners, or anyone watching this, is: are you choosing minimalism from freedom or from fear? There are some really interesting terms that Ruth has found. I love how different languages have words that aren't in English, like that the English language doesn't have, and sometimes you need those words just to be able to uh, label something that you couldn't before. Do you want to share what those were?
So,
I think everyone knows Ikigai. Ikigai was like the popular one for a while. It's like finding your purpose with your work and stuff.
so the Japanese one, which is Muji, which is a minimalist empire. So it's showing how less can still scale with integrity. And this is like Toyota. If you know the brand Toyota, everyone knows it's a reliable car to get. Well, I think everyone knows. Everyone, the older generation likes to say that it's a really reliable car, and there is truth in it because it prioritizes simplicity, waste reduction, and precision. So it's scaled globally because of its minimalistic principles, and that's why it's such a trusted, iconic brand.
I
What's
think
the-
it's.
the
I know you're reading it, and I'm wondering how to pronounce it, but I
Yeah.
think, correct us, any Japanese listeners, if we're wrong, I think it's Shinise.
Shinise,
Yeah.
that says some over 500 years old, grew slowly, kept things lean, and focused on continuity over the hype. And then Kanso is in design an architecture which is less clutter, more clarity equals same for the business strategy. So it's like what's that one? It's like Japansy, that style as well, where it's like Nordic and Japanese style of architecture and interior, and that's very simplistic. It's like a cluttered mind is a cluttered space is a cluttered mind. When
Yeah.
you don't like tidy up, after yourself, put stuff away, then you're just always living in clutter. But keeping it simplistic, owning less things or objects in your house also keeps your mind focused because you're not mentally having to use so much brain energy to focus on the chaos.
Yeah, I love those terms. But I think, a different perspective and labeling them can just shift your own with your own business.
Yeah, so our takeaway is minimalism can be liberation or limitation. The difference is whether you're running from growth or choosing alignment.
And what we would recommend is build backward. Like we made the mistake with the dog business as the example. We realized the joy was in doing the walking ourselves, and we delegated it away. What do you want your day life to look like? How much do you need as well? Like how much time, how much money, and how much energy do you want to put into it? And like what joy do you want to get out of it? I think those are the main 4 things, and then build backwards. So if you build and scale something and end up doing tasks and give yourself a job that you don't like doing, that takes up all your time and has all these liabilities,
Yeah.
and you have a ton of people to manage, like, is that what you want? Maybe for some it is, but if not for everybody. So make sure that you are building backwards. So you design a life, you don't build a life that you resent, and it's ongoing, sustainable, long-term alignment. Because even I think you already said Warren Buffett keeps it pretty simple.
Yeah. Warren Buffett keeps it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening to the Honest Property Podcast.
And we'll catch you in the next one.
You're in the next one.
Bye. Bye.